everybody, welcome. Unlike normal today, I will be taking the play-by-play role this evening, not being joined by Viper tonight for our usual fiesta of 1v5 tower dives and pauses every game. Alongside me here is someone who can maybe bring back a bit of discipline to Square One. It's the Sarge. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. A little bit nervous now you've tasked me with bringing some discipline back to this Clown Fiesta League that we seem to have, but looking forward to the shenanigans that are going to go on, regardless of whether they are bot lane tower dives or level 1 5 versus 5s around red buff. I'm just looking forward to some good bloody League of Legends.
Dang, dude, I'm glad that you've also come out with the hard flame in the league just to start off. That is the attitude we want to see here. So what we have on the cards for you guys today, we have Pogchimp versus Stopwatch. And then, just in case you hadn't pogged enough that day, we've got Pogchimp versus EU Saviors Anonymous. So, if we turn our attention to Game 1, Pogchimp versus Stopwatch, Sarge, I'll just pass it over to you very broadly and just say, what do you think is going to be the most impactful thing that we need to look out for going into this game?
So I think it's going to come a lot down to the jungle matchups and where these guys can actually have an impact around the map. Stopwatch do have EUS do have... no, it is Stopwatch. Apologies, I've been doing some notes last minute. Stopwatch do have two support mains on that team, one of which is playing in the jungle. It might be a little tricky for him to play into Rido, who favours these early game aggressive junglers, so I think it's going to come down a lot to how these junglers can actually pair up with their laners around the map and make an impact felt there. We know that Rido favours these early game skirmishes, trying to get his lanes ahead early, and Jappy is going to have the task for Stopwatch to try and prevent that from happening.
Indeed, Rido is of course a face we know and love from the previous season. He was the head coach of CBA, who are actually our current reigning champions of the first season of Square One. So we've got big hopes for him as he comes into this jungle. We also have Artie coming off the bench for Pogchimp. He has been hanging around. He's been a face that we know very well. He is coming off the bench and into that bot lane. Plus BRG #1 fan, I believe. You might know him as Thomas Finland, but I prefer referring to him as BRG's #1 fan. Role swapped from support into that top lane, with Little Pants coming in as support and Daily Lappa coming in to the mid lane. So some new faces, some old faces, a lot of people playing in different roles that we might not expect to see them. So I'm interested to see how much synergy that we can maybe see these guys bring to the table today, as it might be a little bit fresh for them here. If we're looking forward to pick and bans a little bit, I think that if we're looking for a particular pick that we might see come up, the first thing I want to talk about, or once again to throw to you to talk about, is this new champion, Chiana. I don't think we've seen any Chiana in the league so far, but this is 913. Chiana is enabled and has been having a big impact across across high-level play and across solo queue in general. So give us a quick rundown on what this champion's all about, where we're expecting to see it, how do you think if it's gonna show up, how do you think it's gonna do?
So, Chiana is a very unique champion to what we've seen so far, right? It seems to be introducing different abilities and different types of playstyles for its champions so far. She has a unique ability where she's able to actually transform what her other skills do based on the terrain she's fighting in. So the only other champion we've really seen do this is Talia so far a little bit, but Chiana can take essence from bushes around the map to give her some stealth. She can take from the river to provide a slow, and she can take from walls to provide bonus damage and an execute. She is an AD-based assassin, a lot of maneuverability, and is going to have a big impact fighting around choke points in the jungle or also around objectives. So in the Dragon Pit, in the Baron Pit. Primarily, she's been played mid and top so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did see her picked up in the jungle potentially. She does have the option to kind of mitigate her weaker laning phase by moving into the jungle and get to her power space where she can be felt making impact quicker. So I haven't seen a lot of gameplay for her myself, I must admit, but it is something exciting to watch whether these two teams are going to move towards her, trying for that bit of unpredictability and something a little bit new, or whether they're going to favour something more comfortable that they know how to play and work around a little bit more here today.
Indeed, always exciting to see potentially a spanner being thrown into works with these new champions. So as we now jump into the pick and ban, I think that probably the main thing that I would like to see personally out of Pogchimp is that I'd like to see them competitive with Sivir, and that has been taken away straight away. When Stopwatch wins, they win with Sivir. They're currently 2-4. They've been struggling a little bit, though both of their games last week were tragic throws against middle of the card or high tier teams here, Phoenix Impact and Royal Reapers. So they definitely have strengths they can bring to the table, and normally it is off the back of Bormahon Sivir, and also Credible's Corki has really been overperforming in this mid lane. So I want to see if those show up, as that has been matched by the Sona from the side of Stopwatch. If Viper was here, he would be laughing his head off because he hates Sona Tarek as much. I think it's alright, and we'll have to see what more bans follow through as we go through this first phase.
I mean, I have to agree with the Sona being taken off the table. The Sona Tarek bot lane, although it is very strong, it's not the most entertaining to watch. But Lux is taken off the table, a targeted ban at Credible. He has a 4+ KDA on Lux, so a very dangerous champion to let go into his hands. And if we're talking about things that we want to see come out, although the Sivir has been banned away, and you talked about how Stopwatch win through Bomberhond having that in the bot lane, they still have the Shen available. Now, although he's not currently a massive meta pick, Darkblade has played a lot of Shen and could be looking to help support his bot lane with that. But Karma will be the first pick for Pogchimp. Very flexible champion at the minute, an enabler to other champions, allowing them to really excel in their role. So could be going into mid or the bot lane as a support. We'll have to wait and see what some more of the picks come out are.
Indeed, we'll have to see where that gets locked into. I think the Sona takeaway was actually really apt, as it was Pogchimp that were one of the only teams I've ever seen to actually dominantly win a Sona Tarek lane. It was with different players, mind you, at that point, but they clearly know how to play around this champion, and let's see if Jappy knows his way around SQ1, as that has been their lock-in for the jungle pick. Pretty much an evergreen pick, has been for several patches this SQ1. Good CC, respectable early presence that you can have with those abilities, and they are building up what could be a strong frontline for Stopwatch, and they've matched it up with the Kai'Sa. So already you can see potentially a very strong team fight developing here, with Kai'Sa and Sejuani being able to start fights and push them through with huge amounts of well-scaling damage. Rido has of course locked in that Trundle. That is the normal counter against Sejuani, just due to your ability to sap those tanky stats with the Subjugate. So that's a fairly standard jungle matchup, and it has been the Vladimir very swiftly locked in for Daily Lappa, and I think this could actually be flexed into the bot lane for Artie. He has played a huge amount of mid and top Vladimir, and while we're in this meta where still you can see mages, you can see bruisers, assassins going into this bot lane right now, I think we might see it go down here, so it's another very strong flex pick for the side of Pogchimp.
No hesitation to lock that in at all, but Nautilus will be rounding out our first phase of picks for Team Stopwatch. We're expecting that to go down into the bot lane. He is a very strong support, provides a lot of engage potential and a lot of kill threat when paired with that Kai'Sa. If they do want to go all in on Bomberhond and try and put the team on his back, Sejuani diving bot with all the CC she provides and the engage potential, Nautilus as well, having him in the lane already, all you need is the damage from the Kai'Sa to follow that up. So we could be seeing some 3-man early aggression down towards the bottom side of the map from Stopwatch, but in the second phase of bans, Camille and Kennen taken off the table so far. And I like the team comps that we are looking at already. It's a bit clearer to see what Stopwatch are doing, I think. They're trying to get a good, strong bot lane that can win through there. A Sejuani to back up, like you said, CJ. So good, just all aspects of the game. She has really strong engage, really strong tankiness, good presence around the map at all stages. So will be an impact in team fights as well. I want to see a little bit more of Pogchimp's team composition before we comment too much. Like we said, the Karma could still be flexed to a few positions, the Vladimir could be moved around as well. Trundle is really only our fairly confident pick going into the jungle, but with Silas taken away and Berserif as well, we'll have to see what comes out of this second stage of picks now.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to spot a teamfight comp on the horizon when you see the price of the Nautilus Sejuani. You know what the writing on the wall has appeared here. But yeah, picks like Vladimir and Karma, they're so flexible and they can perform such different roles, and you can leave that AD carry pick really late and that mid lane as well, potentially top. There's so many options, so many directions they can go here. I think the phase 2 bans, or most of Stopwatch's bans, have been very targeted. The Nico and the Kennen both definitely they've opened up BRG #1 fans, OP.GG, and seen that he's recently swapped to top lane. Those are his most two played champions on there, so they're taking those away. We'll see if he chooses to go with the Karma, the Vlad, or if they pick something else for him, as it is the Vel'Koz that has been locked in for Stopwatch here. This now, I imagine, will be going on to Credible just because the Kai'Sa Nautilus is such a strong bot lane combination. I assume that is where they're likely to put it. And then Vel'Koz does add another layer to that team fight. Super strong catch and blow up potential, plus really good just coverage of a whole team fight using that ultimate really well. So I would like to see if that one gets locked into Credible, as Urgot has been picked up for, I imagine, BRG #1 fan here. That is not a very common top laner pick that we see right now, but it's still definitely strong. If you're a strong top laner, you can make good use out of this champion just to stay ahead, say even in farm, you can maybe snap up a couple of kills. It's got good gank assist with the ultimate and the execute value that it has. So I like this pickup for BRG #1 fan, and it's been rounded up by a Kassadin. So I think we are going to see the Vladimir Karma bot lane, and that is just, I mean, if Viperoon hates Sona Taric, I feel like Vlad Karma might be an even more frustrating lane to play against.
It will be frustrating indeed, but I was ready to be like, ooh. So I called it, got it in there, but at the last minute that Shen Hover will be switching to the Mordekaiser. I do like that as a pick into the Urgot. Like you were saying, the Urgot is still very capable in lane. He still has that really good one-on-one potential to fight when he hits 6 with the ultimate. But the Mordekaiser ult, taking him out of the fight and sapping all of his stats, is a quite nice way to try and negate the Urgot's impact. But now we're seeing the team comps rounded out, I am a little bit concerned towards the side of Stopwatch. They only really have one source of AD damage down the bot lane with this Kai'Sa. And if Pogchimp try to capitalise on this, put her behind as far as possible, they will only have to contend with the AP damage coming through. Now, that's not writing them off at all. They have a very strong team composition. I like the way their draft has rounded out, but it is an area of concern that I am expecting Raido to be trying to visit and attack, especially with that Kassadin that we saw picked up at the end there, very mobile and able to transition down to that bot lane as well. Last minute switch from the Vladimir did take the TP, so 3 teleports on the side of Pogchimp, looking to play around different areas of the map and have a lot of pressure at all times. So going to be interesting how these two teams clash, and I'm expecting a lot of early skirmishing to be the game plan for Team Pogchimp so far.
Yeah, I feel like, especially in the bot lane for Stopwatch, in their previous games, especially in these last 2 games from last week where they did throw away relatively significant leads, Bomberhunt was performing well, and the bot lane does always do a good job at securing these early leads and getting them into this mid game in a good position. Only unfortunately when it reaches that the late mid game and that very late team fight decision, that's when it tends to fall apart for them. But we know that their bot lane is incredibly strong here, and they've got a really strong duo that can take over a lane against Vladimir Karma when the Vladimir is so weak until it gets that first back to be able to trade efficiently. I think that if they can secure an early advantage, which they absolutely could, this could be the way they get into this game, and they can really punish this slightly out of the ordinary Vladimir pick. He's taking the heal and the Karma as well, so they're really just going full, you cannot kill us, we're going to scale up and have ourselves a Vladimir, despite also getting to take Kassadin and Urgot, so we don't have to give up a potentially weak lane in our solo lanes, and we still get to, have our cake and eat it with a late game scaling Vladimir that RT is so comfortable on. So we'll have to see if that pays off for Pogchimp, or if they do get punished for this unorthodox style. And the triple TP is probably going to come into this. I imagine we'll be seeing some rotations into this bot lane to stave off some dives and the aggression that RT and Level Pants are going to be buried under by the side of Stopwatch. So we'll need definitely. And something we could actually see Pogchimp go towards. We've talked so much about this bot lane matchup and how we want to see Stopwatch try and force their way through there, get ahead, and put the game on Bomberhunt's back on this Kai'Sa. But Raido for Pogchimp could look to just try and mitigate that entirely. They could look towards the top side of that with this Urgot on the Trundle and try to 2v1 this Mordekaiser before they reach level 6. The Urgot is extremely difficult to deal with and very oppressive if he gets a lead. For starters, he's a ranged top laner into the melee of the Mordekaiser, which allows him to poke, whittle him down before there's an all-in and force him away from the farm. But
with the power that Trundle and Urgot can bring together, the displacement, putting the Mordekaiser further into the lane with the Urgot grab, blocking him off with the Trundle pillar. There's opportunities that can be exploited from this Mordekaiser's lack of mobility before he reaches this breakpoint at level 6 and drags someone into that 1v1 death round.
True, I think that you're right. I think that is going to be a pressure point for him to deal with. I think that Rido does have can potentially have a lot of influence over a lot of these lanes. Mid and bot are both losing early, but Urgot, as you say, can actually take that win, and Rido, with that Trundle, does match up fairly well into the Sejuani at most stages in the game, just due to the way the characters interact with their abilities. So I think that he is going to have a lot of agency early on to affect this one, and I'm not surprised to see him taking that role. Rido is a very strong personality. He is the one who actually took over ownership of Pogchimp after Muppet released it. So he's probably the most invested right now. Him and Artie are the people who've been around for a long time. Rido has taken over this team himself. He is in the jungle, that potentially common shot calling position, and I think that he is going to want to take control of this game and be the force that pushes his team through to get them in a position where they can win. And I think he can do it. I think he's a very strong player, and like I say, a strong personality. He is a kind of a natural born leader. That's why he was able to coach CBA to their first Spring Split Square 1 championship last split. So I do have high hopes for this, and I want to see if he can live up to those expectations.
Well, we'll have to see how the game is going to go. We are loading in now after our little bit of spectator delay, and it's very much going to be an interesting game. The emphasis here, you have to feel that it is on Stopwatch to try and push this game forward, to accelerate the pace, not allowing the members of Pogchimp to scale up. We don't want to see that Vladimir, that Kassadin get to 4 or 5 items where they will run you over in a team fight. It's going to be a massive problem for them, and they want to try and stop that from happening by forcing some pressure through, like you said, this winning bot lane, this winning mid lane, and getting some kills on the board early for their carries.
Indeed, and this is us onto the Rift here at Square 1, Week 4, Day 1, Stopwatch versus Pogchimp. We've gone to our normal 5-point coverage of the jungle. We need to see how this matches up. This is going to be our first game of the day. We'll have one more coming on after this, and 2 more on Tuesday for you guys. So let's just get stuck in right here. Let's look at the keystones to see if there's anything out of the ordinary there. We do have double Conqueror in that top lane. It's fairly common for these high trading champions. And then Kassadin has taken the usual fleet footwork to really get him through that lane phase. Artie does have Predator on the Vlad as well. So this is another basically useless in the laning phase. It's another point where his champion is going to have a tough lane because he's opted for this Predator, really going for that flank pressure, that mid and late game teamfight pressure that Vlad is so strong at bringing. And I think that given he's clearly angling for this kind of play, I kind of want to see Darkblair ult him with Mordekaiser ult more often than not. I feel like the Vlad taking that out of the teamfight can be so important if they get that strong flank off, and then your Mordekaiser can just turn around and go, click, well, you're done, you're out of here. And then your team can push through the teamfight using Bomber Hunt Incredible while he's stuck in there. So we'll see if Darkblair is able to make an impact like that happen, or if they are going to struggle. See how this laning phase goes, as we have gone into normal lane assignments, no crazy invades, no early level 1 or level 2 ganks, not yet at least, and let's see how this develops.
No crazy invades to start with, but we are looking at Stopwatch, his bot lane having priority on the wave, so they will be getting that level 2 first. Might look for the all-in play once they hit that, or they might wait for a bit of assistance from the Sejuani. And a bit of poke coming down, you can see how horrible that Karma is to deal with, the damage he's able to throw out. But something that I want to suggest to you, CJ, here, you were mentioning about the Vladimir having Predator and how useless it is in lane for him. We could potentially see the Vladimir farm up for a little bit, get 1 or 2 backs, but then...
Oh, an early hook by Matt, but they've got level 2, it's an instant first blood! He explodes! That was just so fast I barely even noticed it. The Ignite has been used and the instant TP back, but RT gets blown out of the water.
Yeah, I'm absolutely gobsmacked at how fast that Vladimir went down. I know we mentioned about they might look for the level 2 all-in to try and get an advantage here, but I didn't expect the Vladimir to pop so quickly. That was absolutely
fight
brutal.
In this top lane. Rido has come and forced that flash away from Darkblood with the pillar. Good pressure. We were talking about the agency Rido can have, and he has managed to get that flash early from Darkblood. Could come back to bite him later.
Yeah, scraps breaking out all across the map here, and it was lucky that Sejuani was nearby on the top side of the map, able to assist Darkblood, if anything more.
He's actually coming in. As you say, anything more, this is the anything more. Jappy's coming in with the red buff. POG does have flash, he's going to have to use it, but here comes the stun. This is surely going to be it. Jappy does it, because one Incredible is actually being aggressed on here. Flashes come out left, right, and center, and they manage to trade one in the mid lane. A lot of flurry of kills here, as the lanes are just, they're exploding.
Kills across the board, both teams have got themselves in, but another engage in the bot lane.
Another one, they didn't quite manage to pop that Kaiser passive, and Malik Bell actually very, very afraid of that Karma chain. Flashes just to be safe. Does have Hex Flash, so isn't completely without any utility, but he did not want any part of that after that early engage didn't pan out.
Not at all. And let's take the minute's respite that we're going. It looks like we are evolving into to take a quick stock of what happened there. So, flashes for both teams were blown in top, jungle, and mid lane. They are all unavailable. TP used for the Vel'Koz on the side of Stopwatch and for the Vladimir on the side of Pogchimp, as Rido shows his face in the bot lane. He was trying to aggress there, but perfectly able to Stopwatch to escape. Now, the early kills didn't go over to the Mordekaiser in the top lane for Stopwatch. A little disappointing for them. It was the Sejuani that picked that up, but will be able to use that extra gold to exert pressure all around the map. So not the worst situation by any means. Over in the mid lane though, we're talking about how this Vel'Koz would win early against the casting. Wanted to try and get an advantage and push their luck before the casting had chance to scale up. Well, although the Vel'Koz is 10 ahead on CS, a very, very nice position to be in, Casting did pick up that early kill. And as I was saying that I was watching, Daily Lapper was stood still between his towers. We've gone into a pause. Looks like he might have been briefly disconnected there. So hopefully we'll be back with you shortly once that issue is resolved.
Yeah, looks like I imagine Viper is chuckling wherever he is casting another game right now, I imagine, as we cannot escape the pauses, he and I. There will always be a pause in at least one of our games. And so, as you say, there is significant advantages in CS at the very least being grabbed in that mid and top lane, and the kill lead is in the favor of Stopwatch. Currently, they've pulled out a solid 1k gold lead early on into the game after a lot of aggression. But you are right that the kills aren't going on to the most favorable targets. Malik Bell picks it up in the bot lane and Sejuani in that top lane, so their carries are still awaiting some extra gold to go in there, as the Kassadin had actually picked up the kill for Daily Lapper in the mid lane there. If you look at the vision as well, it's very heavily favored around the bottom side for both teams in general, mostly for Pogchimp. Rido has been placing a lot of deep wards to try and keep track of Jappy and just keep control of this river in general, grabbing that Scuffle Crab. I feel like he is going to, as you said in pregame, he is going to be focusing on just trying to keep this bot lane in it after they had such a disastrous early fight that really does not put them in the position they want to be in, losing that TP early on. They do still have the heal on the Karma, so not all, they haven't lost all things they have to get away from these fights in the bottom lane, but it is going to be tougher for them, I think, going forward for at least a little while, as RT I'm still reeling from how quickly he exploded, honestly, and I think Little Pants was as well, not able to get that heal out.
Certainly not what any of us expected watching that play happen in real time. But one thing we do have to mention that is in the Pogchimp's favour in the bot lane, they do have a level up over opponents. The Vlad and the Karma are both level 4 against level 3 for Boomerhond and Malik Bell. So they will, if they maintain the same level of pressure, hit that level 6 point first and won't be at such a threat of that similar kind of all-in stage again. However, having said that, it is the opposite case for them in the top and mid lane, with Stopwatch's champions being level 5 against their opponents level 4. So this Mordekaiser and the Vel'Koz could be looking for an explosive engage once they hit level 6, trying to catch out the Urgot and the Kassadin, still awaiting their ultimate. So we are now back into the game. Apologies again for the little pause. We don't seem to be able to escape them fully, but not too long, and we are now back with some more League of Legends for you. Nothing too much of this, just a little bit of scouting and posturing around the map from the teams there while they've sorted out their issues.
The one thing that I'm seeing when hang on a second, Darkblind Jappy coming in for a repeat gang onto this Urgot. He does try dash away, but no flash available. That stuff's going to come up easy as that. This is surely going to be another clean kill for this top lane, and now it is given over by Jappy to Mordekaiser. That went exactly what they wanted that time. This is now a definitive lead in this top lane.
very nicely handed over. And you were talking while we were in that pause about the vision. BRG number 1 fan on this Urgot had very little vision around the top side of the map, no awareness at all that gank was coming in, and without his flash, very vulnerable to all the CC that Mordekaiser and the Sejuani can put down. All the emplacement that Sejuani can do, followed into the drag back for Mordekaiser, a very easy secured kill, and putting Darkblatt in a very favourable position as these two champions are going to be hitting this level 6 mark in a minute or two.
Oh, hang on a second. Speaking of, here comes Sunfanster with that chain onto Credible. He's also flashless. He has backup though in the form of Malik Bell. Rider Bell comes in. The ultimate comes out of desperation, but it's not enough. Daily Lapper cleans that one up. His team comes in to support him, gets him another kill in the mid lane.
A really nice secure there, but another fight in the top immediately.
Again, Jappy going, gets that stun, but there is no more that he can secure there. BRG number 1 fan ready for it that time. He walks away, doesn't even lose any health.
Got very close to his tower and not quite enough damage to dive that with the Mordekaiser and the Sejuani, not want to try and push that too far, but still, for moving up in the lane, playing very aggressively, forcing this Urgot off farm. He is in a difficult position with the wave being pushed where it is. It is past the river, he would have to advance to try and pick it up, and Darkblatt on this Mordekaiser just freezing it in place, not giving him access to any of that CS and putting him further and further behind. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the push is now favouring the side of Pogchimp, with that flag and the Karma both helping to clear the wave at once. Looks like Malik Bell was posturing for a bit of an engage there, but doesn't really have the tools. The Ignite is back available, but might be looking for a Hex Flash from the bushes.
We'll pull in, and the ult is available for Jappy, but they're gonna hold it. They're both hanging around. The Realm of Death has been used for Darkblatt. He's just standing still. BRG number 1 fan, baiting in for Rider perhaps. He has showed up to support, and I think Stopwatch sniff it out. They do walk away. I think the Realm of Death means that Jappy actually can't ult the Urgot, right? Because he's in the Realm of Death. He's not on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, I believe so. It means that the champion is entirely removed. There's a couple of interesting interactions with that. I don't know all of them off by heart, I must admit. Still discovering new things about the recently reworked Mordekaiser all the time. But I believe if Jappy would have used the ultimate first and then the Realm of Death would have been used onto this Urgot, he would have remained in the stun, but I am not entirely sure. So we'll have to see whether that plays out, as we're seeing a lot of pings coming through with an invade onto the top side of the jungle here.
He is going to secure it. Jappy gets up with a flash in from BRG, but it actually gets interrupted. He gets bounced away, and now the ultimate comes out from Vel'Koz. Here comes Lady Lappa on the side. They are going to clean up right as the start off. Darkfire now leading the charge back in here. A blast from Credible to clean that one up, and Lady Lappa has to watch useless from the sideline as his team loses a 2-4-0 fight in that 3 versus 3.
Yeah, that's going to be really punishing there. It was looking like it would be in favour of Pogchimp. Urgot moved forwards very aggressively, flashing over the knockup to try and drag Sejuani in, but there was too much follow-up damage and too much support from Credible and Darkblatt on these AP champions, able to burst down and get some kills. 2-5 in Team Stopwatch's favour so far, with a 3k gold advantage coming up to the 10-minute mark. Very healthy for them, and a position they'll be happy with so far.
Here's a question. Do you think, how early I should say, do you think that the side of Pogchimp should start to build magic resist, given they're up against such a strong or a heavily AP favourite team, and not all of their champions are great at building into it, but things like the Vladimir and the Kassadin, these can go into hybrid AP MR items and sometimes into full MR items and still be viable. Do you think that's something they should look to do sooner rather than later, or they want to try and hit those power spikes early?
So I think in terms of the bottom lane for Pogchimp, we're okay seeing them building towards what they are at the minute. We're expecting the Proto Belt to come out from the Vladimir, and they're okay in that matchup because they haven't actually seen a lot of attention as of yet. And I'll hold that thought as we're seeing engagement on the top side.
Ryder just has to watch again as his top laner gets 1v1'd easily by Darkblood. That has got to be really massively feel bad, man, for Ryder. He has to walk away as well, and Darkblood just asserting dominance there, throws down the club once again. Such a strong use of the ultimate there, moves to 3-0 and 2 in this top lane.
Yeah, really good use there to just saw that he was in the 2 versus 1, drags the Urgot into that situation that he knows he can win, and has those enhanced stats to then turn the fight in his favour. 2 1v1s back to back is no problem for him.
That ultimate comes out, RC's fully committed to this one. Morvahan does use Killer Instinct, get away, and now a lot of damage gone down. Knight as well. Lash away from Boban. He does not want any more of this. And they walk away. No kills used by anybody, but a lot of ultimates committed from both sides.
Yeah, and summoners as well. Bomahon now does not have access to that flash, but hold that thought. On the minimap, we can see Credible is pathing down on this Velknock.
Another hook onto Artsuga. He is going to have to walk away. Credible not going to be in a good position to get a knock-up here. They're just going to push that wave in. Rido's waiting in support as well. This could explode into something more, but it looks like they are both going to back away posturing. It's the Rift Herald has been dropped in top lane. They've seen this pressure. They didn't even necessarily know that Rido was down here, but this could be a huge gold swing getting plates into this top lane, which is so strong for them right now.
Yeah, Team Stopwatch deciding to play another area of the map, trying to buff up this Mordekaiser even more, going for a dive on the tower here.
Yeah, actually diving to drop that stun. Darkfire doing most of the damage. Jaffe just tanking and using his ultimate to serve that CC. The Ogre ultimate actually grabs him, he's going to get pulled in, and he is the secure it. The fear beyond death, and Darkfire, he's still tanking, he goes down as well. What a fumble from Stopwatch, feeding 2 kills into POG #1 fan that looked like it was being played so well, but they just miscalculate and end up losing a lot for that.
Yeah, and BRG #1 fan there knew that he was in a bad position, knew that he was going to go down, but really making the most of what he had available to him. Using that the fear beyond death to drag in the Sejuani, get that fear that was just long enough to keep Darkblack under tower there, tanking it up, and grabs himself a double kill. The Rift Herald will take most of the damage for this top tower. All of the plates have been lost now. It is only standing on about 350 health, but not all of that gold was transferred over, as the Mordekaiser was of course killed. So not the biggest benefit there for Team Stopwatch, and although they got the kill and some tower plates, it was a big return of gold over to the Urgot, which could put him back into this game here and return him to being an actual threat.
This is very much what he needed. He was down, he's currently still down 42 CS. 2 Dark Bombs, Mordekaiser. The ultimate has come out again. The floor has been used, and now you cannot get further away. That invisible wall keeps you in there, and he is just going to get 1v1'd again. Nothing he can do about this one. The Swarm of Steel burns him down to nothing as BRG #1 fan. He did get those 2 kills injected, but now instantly gets another death, pulling him up to 2 and 6 in this top lane.
Yeah, and it's getting increasingly difficult for Team Pogchimp to do anything about this Mordekaiser.
Oh, another ult committed, a flash from Artsuga. He has to go onto Bomahon. Bomahon is going to go so low after this. He needs to get away from here. Artsuga, the ultimate's gone down from Mallet Veil. He is going to stymie out that aggression, but now the chains have come down. He's going to get rooted up. More damage is going to come down into him. It will not be enough. The shield's going to come out again, and they are both going to walk away. Once again, it is the Vladimir and Karma getting aggressive, and it's the traditionally strong Tyson Autoslane forced to back away as Rido is circling as well. They're going to get some plates on this turret, forcing the back. Looks like Malakbel wants to stick around. He doesn't have any vision on Rido currently. They are going to walk away, and that is going to be a one fight for the side of Pogchimp as they get these plates.
Yeah, and might even be looking for the return trade in towers here. 3 members are there, but over on the top side of the map, Team Stopwatch are pushing onto this tier 2 tower. Sejuani again shadowing this Mordekaiser, just helping him out, allowing him all the pressure he needs. As we are going to see the bot lane tower for Team Pogchimp will be secured, get themselves a little bit of gold back on the map, and it gives them a lot of priority around the Drake.
If they're looking now and they see this 5-1 and 2 Mordekaiser in the top lane who's pushing an inner tower at 14 minutes in the game, who do Pogchimp need to look to be the force that can match him? If Mordekaiser chooses to go split push, is there anyone on the side of Pogchimp that can actually match him to stop that pressure? Or do they just need to commit to full team fights and then try and come back to the split pressure afterwards?
At this point, I think that the best option for Pogchimp regarding this Mordekaiser is to completely avoid it. Try and use their members, group up at other points on the map, attack this mid lane where we've already seen Credible has been susceptible to some ganks previously. Try and attack this overextended bot lane, force as much pressure as you can, so this Mordekaiser has to do something other than split push. At 5-1 and 2, with that ultimate available, even sending 2 members will just result in, like we've seen previously, 2 1v1s back to back that this Mordekaiser will easily dominate. Pogchimp have to try.
Malakbel got in, that's a lot of damage, that's a lot of fans, so incredible, the ultimate going escape, but now they are lined up this credible. Both TPs are coming in. Jaffy now trying to escape. He is caught on the wrong side of town. Daily Lapper TPs in and instantly runs away. Ultimate's committed, but he'll get into as well. He is going to get taken down by Darkbar. This has been taken out by Stopwatch. They are forcing Pogchimp into full retreat here. Pogchimp flashes in. Arctic goes into that pool, and now BRG #1 fan has shown up to support his team. Looks like they are going to walk away. They're caught between two towers, but do have the man advantage. Stopwatch, they're going to take another fight win. They had 5 members there in time, and they extend this gold lead to over 5k as they turn onto this tower.
A really nice aggressive play there. We're still seeing a little bit of skirmishing. Another fight could break out, but it was a good option by Stopwatch to force that fight. They knew that the Urgot didn't have his TP available, still won't have it for about 20 seconds here, so they used that man advantage to force a play around the bottom side of this map to get themselves some more gold, more pressure, and we're seeing this problem is going to emerge for the side of Pogchimp. They want to try and group up and create pressure away from this Mordekaiser, like we were just saying, but if they do that, when the Mordekaiser still has the TP, he's able to commit to this fight, and it brings you into the team fight that Team Stopwatch have actually drafted for. We said in the pre-game how much the the competition, revolves around this team fight, and how easy it was to spot out. Grouping up in that 5v5 situation down the bot lane, or the 5v4 as it turned out, is not the way that Pogchimp win this game, but with the Mordekaiser being so strong, it is really cutting down their options and what they actually have to respond here.
Artie, I've just noticed, has actually gone the Spellbinder first instead of a traditional Proto Belt, so he is really trying to go for that kill, and it did almost work on Bomahon several times in lane, but he hasn't managed to get good use out of it so far, and we already see SQ1 building in some magic resist. There's so much health extra on Darkfly already, plus he's just so far ahead that he can probably win that regardless, and I think that the Spellbinder, maybe, he's going to have to only really Bomahon. I think it's the only target he can take out with it, as he is only on about half health. They do see them walking around there and might be looking for a setup as they rotate towards this Infernal Dragon. Here comes Jaffy, he's caught in the 4v1, quickly dashes over that ledge to escape. Close call for him, but they are going to keep control of this Dragon Pit for now, as all 5 members are circling here. Malik Bell's looking for a hook, he's got one onto Rhino. This could be the start they're looking for. Swajani up to follow up, Darkfly comes in, then also Assault 2. He is going to walk in here, but he's on his own now. He doesn't have anything to back him up. He's used the Realm of Death onto Artasuika. They are both now in that 1v1 to the end. Artasuika just hanging around, waiting to come out of there. Darkfly waiting as well, but now he's caught in the 1v5 himself. He has to pull away straight away. Here comes the recommitting Daily Lapper. They've got Malakbel so low, he is going to escape with his life. Daily Lapper gets over there. He's actually pulled right back in by Urgot, and now he gets the fear. This could be the fight that they need to win. Pogchimp are now pushing through it. They finally managed to get some strong positioning here, but Artasuika instantly double killed. Suddenly it's gone back to favor of Stopwatch. Credible's on full health, and Darkfly still lives. Daily Lapper, Rhino, both on 0 health. He comes in, doesn't quite get Bomahon. He walks away with the triumph, and he still takes that win and survives. They are going to get everything here. What a back and forth team fight. It looks like Pogchimp had found their chance to win, but Stopwatch show resilience. They pick up the Dragon, and they are still extending this lead.
Extremely greedy play by Daily Lapper on the casting there could have cost his team that fight. We were focusing on the action going around the river, focusing more on towards the side of the Dragon Pit, but we saw Daily Lapper, he actually used his ultimate to get back into his mid lane to try and chase down low members of Stopwatch. If he'd have managed to stay with the rest of his team as a group rather than split up, that fight might have looked very differently. Instead, so many kills go over to the side of Team Stopwatch. A double kill for the Vel'Koz. They are now 8 kills ahead of their opponent, and with an Infernal in the back pocket as well, it will only be increasing their power, making it all the more difficult for Pogchimp to actually have any real impact in these fights and compete for these damage graphs. But we're seeing this Mordekaiser and this Vel'Koz, Kai'Sa, doing so much work in these fights. That Infernal Drake only going to improve that and become even scarier as the game goes on.
Hopefully before another fights break out, I really need to shout out Bomahon there, who got TP'd on by BRG #1 fan about a minute ago and actually used the minions to execute himself while the Urgot was cutting him off in the tower so that he wouldn't give any shutdown gold over to the Urgot. I just think that is incredibly Galaxy Brain. And Bomahon, he's had a lot of pressure on him this game. We were talking about going into the draft that it might be heavily on his shoulders to carry the team, and he's usually that AD carry, that hyper carry player that steps up to carry his team on things like the Sivir. but this game he is just absorbing all of the pressure being put on him so well, not giving up any advantages, and allowing Darkblatt and Credible to just push through that damage in team fights. He's having a surprisingly good game here. It's not the most flashy of games, but it is a very good one from him, I feel.
Yeah, and it is surprising perhaps for the viewers and for ourselves as well, given how much we talked about this bot lane in the pre-game phase and how we're expecting so much action down here and this to be a point of focus. It's actually all been about the top lane this game. This Mordekaiser has been really Team Stopwatch's focus to try and get Viper ahead, try and cannon forwards, but fight here in the jungle.
So he's going to get disengaged. The Subjugate has been used though, so they won't have that if another fight breaks out, as Credible now fishing for knockups onto the Daily Lapper. They are going to start sieging up this tower as they've all 5 members committed here. Looks like the rest of the team from Pogchimp are rotating to contest them here. You may see a fight break out.
Yeah, just
he wants it. He wants it. He's gone straight in and duels. He's used that ultimate as well, but he's just going to have to way. The combo play goes for nothing, and now that's another important ultimate they don't have, as now surely they're going to have to give up this tower. Credible just ults raw off the back of it. Sejuani onto the Urgot as well. He is going to get taken down. He is going to go down to Bomberhond, and now low health bars everywhere. There are some on the side of Stopwatch, but they have taken the first kill in this siege, and now surely RT is going to have to heal up off the wave or go off the heal. So far, this is going very much in the favor of Stopwatch as before.
And all the more importantly, they took the Urgot away. He is the problem, he is the threat when you have these low health bars. Doesn't matter how far behind he is, his ult is still a percent health execute. So with that Sejuani being so low, and other members as well, could have nabbed a kill and saw a bit of a turnaround fight, but with him away...
Oh, sniped up by Bomberhond on a killing spree right past that tower. RT greeting on the low health, and he does get punished. Now they are pinging the Baron. They get the tower. They've got the kill on RT. No TP up for him. Only Daily Lapper has it available. Looks like they are actually going to recall there. Daily Lapper might be walking into a trap. He's got to get himself out of this one. Darkblatt, he does get taken low. Jaffe as well. They probably can't start the Baron now with these health bars, but they do have full control of that zone. They're going to go back and heal first, because it looks like, I thought it was CBA, just looking at Rido's tag. They are going to force them to back even further. This is now getting very good, I think, for Pogchimp, because now they have much worse back timings for the side of Stopwatch. They're not going to get the fast return to the river, now that they can actually get wards down for Pogchimp, and they can maybe clear out some of this vision, secure it themselves.
Yeah, it's going to give them a nice little opportunity to reset some vision, take stock of what's going on, and provide that bit of safety net to try and defend against these Baron. It has to be what Team Stopwatch is looking for. It would enhance their composition so much, give them a lot of power, especially with how AP-focused Team Pogchimp are, given that the Urgot has been put so far behind. He has very little damage coming out, wouldn't be able to clear those minions away very easily, and the siege that we saw just a second ago that was so excruciating for Pogchimp would just be exemplified even more. Multiple lanes would be pushed down, multiple towers would be forced, and we might even be looking at the base broken if Team Stopwatch are able to secure themselves this Baron here, moving around, trying to get some of this vision away, with Darkblatt down on the bottom side of the map, having that teleport available to join if needed.
Looks like the vision that Pogchimp have put down is committed deep into the topside jungle with Stopwatch, which actually, now that they've retaken control of the river, doesn't actually tell them anything really. Like, the team of Stopwatch does not need to walk around their own jungle and be conservative. They are just pushing up the lanes themselves, so those deep wards actually really not achieving anything for the side of Pogchimp here, as Daily Lap has now gone into that split push roll bot lane. He has secured the fully stacked Rod of Ages and that Archangel. He hasn't reached the Seraphs yet, but he is going to reach a strong point soon, as now Stopwatch have just said, well, let's just start it up, let's get this committed. Here comes the TP from Daily Lapper. This is going to be a 5-5. They instantly peel off. They really want to bait them in here. The Squaniel goes wide. Hemo play comes out, and now an instant pull has to be brought out from RT. Here comes this team fight near. Credible is on the other side. He's being forced away by Kassadin. This is actually looking pretty good for the side of Pogchimp here. They are burning through one by one. A lot of low health bars. Bomberhond has been shut down. But BOG number 1 fan has finally managed to have a strong impact here. He is still on full health. They are going to catch out Malakal, securing that route up the Karma as well. And they are actually going to take a team fight win here off the split up team of Stopwatch, and now the Baron pit could be theirs for the taking as they can clear out this vision. Now it's just a 3v5.
Yeah, a lot of damage was put down in that fight. Velkov does still have his ultimate available. We have to keep an eye on that. Might be looking for the steal here. He's able to output a lot of damage over back of this pit, but with no vision other than the Mordekaiser and Sejuani moving around. look at how afraid Pogchimp are. There's these 3 champions forcing away 5 members here from the Baron. The Kaiser was nowhere near, not in a position to try and assist. The Nautilus was only just coming up now, but this Mordekaiser and Vel'Koz being alive are such a threat that Pogchimp will disengage and the Baron will reset for a second time here as we're playing this dance around the Baron that our teams so love to enjoy and entertain us with here. As we're now look towards mid lane, trying to push onto this tower, but Pogchimp aggressive forward.
Looks Darklight, he's going to get burst down. Nothing he can do about that one. Shut down onto the Kassadin. Stays too aggressive, trying to beat for that tower damage, and now this could be very important as Darklight has been the linchpin of Team Stopwatch going into these fights, and now he is down. We'll have to see if maybe Team Pogchimp can get some advantage back to work.
Yeah, Kaiser is doing the Drake on the bottom side of the map. She will take that uncontested, but 4 members will force this tower in the mid lane for Pogchimp, taking that away, and Artuski is on the hunt.
Bomberhorn caught again, he's going to have to use that flash. The Predators come out, and the cast as well. Here comes Killer Instinct, but it's not enough. Bomberhorn respawning in a, recalling in a very greedy location and gets rotated on. That's a clean shutdown onto the Castin again. That's a lot of money just going into his back pocket.
Yeah, all of the kills from these past few minutes that Pogchimp have secured have gone on to the right person. The best hope now in this game for actual damage and winning out these fights is the Kassadin. 2 big shutdowns going over to him. He will have a lot of gold in his back pocket, but completing Rod of Ages, like we said before. The Archangel staff so close to completion. Only 50 mana needed before that will transform. That will give him a lot more mana to work with, allowing him to ultimate more. And it will also give him that nice shield when he jumps onto the back line as well. So this Kassadin really starting to come online. Needs one more item to become truly scary, but definitely getting there. And with how well he's been piloted by Daily Lapper so far, it is a big threat that Team Stopwatch needs to try and do something about. They seem to have stalled out with the momentum. We mentioned in the draft phase that how in the previous game they've won through bot, they've looked strong early, but they've then struggled to actually close the game out in these mid-game and late-game team fights. And it looks like we might be seeing a repeat here as Pogchimp slowly claw their way back in, inch by inch, closing the gold gap to only about 4k now, when it was previously at 8k only a few minutes ago.
Indeed, and they have at least retaken vision around the Baron pit. They are being studious in their refreshing of that every time they need to. Darkfire's bot lane, but he has no teleport, so he's not going to be able to come through to a team fight, whereas RT does have his available, so does BRG #1 fan on this Urgot. So they are perhaps going to be able to offer more rotational strength going into a potential Baron fight, as I think that, I feel like Siege just might be the better option for Stopwatch here. That's where they've had a lot more success, and these Baron dances have so far been biting them more than they've been helping them. And given that they've committed to Darkfire in this split push, I think that might be what they're looking to go for here, as they can't really afford to Baron dance when they know that they have the TP pressure against them, surely.
Yeah, and I think target acquisition is a big problem that we've seen for the side of Stopwatch as well. In the past few fights, if you've watched where the Mordekaiser ultimate has been, it's been going on to this Vladimir. Now, that seems like a great idea, taking the Vladimir out of the fight, denying the Hemo Plague from hitting all the members of his team. The Vladimir is also very able to survive. He can obviously heal up in that fight, he can use a Sanguine Pool to buy time, and then the fight that 1v1 fight ends, and the Vladimir emerges, and it's a straight 5v5 again. Nothing really gained for the side of Team Stopwatch. What needs to be happening is that Mordekaiser ult needs to be going down onto the Kassadin, because we're seeing here how much damage he's doing, stealing half of his stats and taking him out of the fight, not letting him get onto your backline and assassinate credible Vel'Koz like we've just witnessed. No real problems there. He needs to be taken out of the fight immediately, and that is how Team Stopwatch is going to get advantage.
Oh, the ult comes off Malachi. He has been locked up and dragged in and munched up, and that is 2 very important members of the side of Stopwatch have been taken away. They are surely going to rotate onto this Baron. They do have RG's TP, as we said. He might even need to use it. He can just stroll up to this pit, as his team is in such a strong position. They don't have the disintegration rate or credibles. It's so important for them. It's going to be another 3v5. Here they've gone to Daylapper. He's gone to Bomberhorn. He's gone very low. He's good use of his own Stopwatch there against Bomberhorn. He has been destroyed now. A rampage Daylapper as they're chasing Stopwatch away into the jungle. Darkfire has ulted him up, and now he's trying to finish off before he comes out, but Daylapper too slippery on Kassadin. I tell a lie, he does get shut down. but so does the Mordekaiser. 4 members still alive for the side of Pogchimp, and now they're going to finally, once again, try to rotate onto this Baron. Here comes Credible's TP though. He does have that ultimate available. There are some small health bars for the side of Pogchimp here. This could be very dangerous for them. They are going to need to watch out for this one. Here it comes, the raid comes through, but it gets cancelled early by Rhino. He uses his pillar to get rid of it, and now he needs to support. Malletville has to defend Credible from the assault of RC. A lot of damage gets out, he gets blown up, and they go off the Baron again. Once again, the Baron cannot be secured by either of these teams, as a valiant effort by Credible and Malletville keep themselves in this game.
Credible coming up clutch there, stopping that Baron from going down, resetting it and not letting Pogchimp take the prize. It is causing a real thorn in the side for both teams here, as we see it immediately started up again by Team Stopwatch. We're going to be doing this until one team does eventually win it, beating our heads against the wall. But Team Stopwatch looks like they might have a better chance here. Already down to 3k health. Daily Lapper is nearby, has been spotted, looking for a steal, will not manage it.
The ults come out, they are just going to try and get away here. They are Daily Lapper, he's got those ults stacked up, he could have a huge impact here. They need to try and keep this Baron, but he gets shut down by Darkfire. This is huge! They have the mana advantage. Barmahon finally not attacked from that side. He is able to pump up more damage. They don't want to overcommit to this one though. Darkfire pops that shield to keep himself alive. The Credible ultimate ray goes along and forces another flash away out of Little Pants to keep himself alive. And now, finally, it's been achieved. The Baron has been locked down by Stopwatch. They really quickly rotate back onto there, and the fact that they have an AD carry in Barmahon does enough damage. Teleport used by Daily Lapper can't do enough, Arties as well. And now, could this be the moment that we finally see a base broken, now that Baron has been taken off the map and these teams don't have to misplay it anymore?
The Baron has been taken down, but unfortunately for Stopwatch, they don't have any minion waves in an ideal position. Bot lane is pushing out away from them, mid lane was pushing out away from them, and top lane is just crashing in the middle here. Pogchimp have had plenty of time to set up these waves, so even now they have lost the Baron, they have time to reset, get back and try to defend. There won't be the instant collapse onto a side lane into a tower siege situation that Stopwatch would have liked ideally, and they're going to waste quite a bit of time moving around the map and trying to reset these waves that weren't in a favourable position for them. Now, we do have to say, in that last fight, how it did look favour and how Team Stopwatch did manage to take it out. Daily Lapper got a bit too over-eager on the side here, jumping in for too much of a flank and actually putting himself in a really difficult position between that Kaiser and the Mordekaiser. Although he is ramping up nicely, he's now got the Zonya's Hourglass, the Ceres Embrace has transformed, and 2 needlessly large rods, no doubt looking for that death cap. He is still not there yet. He is still squishy, and we're caught between these high damage members that have got nicely fed. He will still go down.
There comes another fight from Darkfire. He does end up winning that 1-for-1 again. The adaptive helm that Urgot has built, not enough still to win that 1v1. Here comes those Baron minions. They have reached the base walls. We might finally see some progress being made here. Credible on the side, threatening a blue turret taken down by Darkfire in that bottom lane. RT's looking for that credit to engage. He's coming in instantly, stunned by Sidwani, and he has to pull away, almost gets sniped. He is going to have to run back to tower with his tail between his legs as Rhino is caught out on the front line. Credible just disintegrates him with his ultimate, and now this is the opening they need to finally break this face. Darkfire has gone over the wall. He is still fighting this Urgot. Uses that Realm of Death to push him away, but he's gone over the wall using that gate. Darkfire having a bit of trouble getting to him. Now Jaffy's committed. This is a bit of an aggressive move for him. They do get this inhibitor. Now here comes Bomb on to clean this one up. Now Darkfire's actually been shut down. He's gone to that 2v1, and Urgot's finished off Sidwani. This is actually going very badly for the side of Stopwatch. They've had to use that Stopwatch on Bomb themselves, and RT's picked it up. This has gone terribly for Stopwatch. They've been shoved out of the base. They're losing their Baron buffs. They've got the inhibitor, but at what cost, Sarge?
Stopwatch getting far too aggressive there, splitting up their members once again, and it costing them dreadfully. My eyes are still watering at that one shot onto the Kaiser that we saw from Daily Lapper here. He's now 7-4-6, finished off that death cap like we said, and he just obliterated Bomahon's health bar. One ultimate was all that was required to take him down, and the gold difference is now only at 5k again. 18 kills to 19, a broken base for the side of Pogchimp, but they are far from defeated. They have plenty of tools to try and win out these games, and it is all coming down to execution here. Daily Lapper is getting more and more dangerous. He's becoming an absolute nightmare. Artie on this Vlad doing very well to avoid some of these fights, engaging and just managing to slither away on the tiniest bit of help with that sanguine pool. And it's Stopwatch again, not quite managing to find the last bit of that health bar. Not quite having the members together in that tight enough group to take out the Cassidin before he ramps up. They're getting too isolated, getting too greedy for these kills, and it could look to cost them the game here as they fall flat at what would have been the final hurdle.
True, and now the Baron buff has, I believe, expired. At the very least, it's been knocked off all useful members that can exploit it. They do have this mid lane inhibitor down, so they are going to have supers pushing in that one, giving them free pressure. Darkblar returns to his post in the bottom lane, but he is going to get rotated on here. Cassidin is coming down, Little Pants and RT coming to back him up. He's going to try and probably maybe get based into his 1v1. Looks like he knows what's up, he's trying to get away. But look at that damage from Daylap, and he is just taking his 1v1 with the red buff in his hand. Darkblar gets him into the ult of death to try and finish him off, but he's just going to lose up the 1v1 straight up. We've hit that point. Darkblar is no longer able to be that infinite 1v1 force as Daily Lapper just cleans him up easy as 1-2-3, and now they are recalling to try and get away from this pressure. The Stopwatch are trying to force onto this top lane tower. This could develop into a 4v5 very quickly. You've seen how willing Pogchimp are to force an engage, and it looks like Stopwatch are going to walk away. Here comes that mantra speed up though. This one ultimate used to try and push them away. It looks like it is going to work. They are going to escape with their lives this time. But now, what does this mean for the game, now that we know that Darkblar cannot be relied on to instantly win that split push at this point?
So many tools being used to try and disengage from that fight, and like you say, they have lost the big threat. This Mordekaiser is no longer able to sit in the side lane and draw pressure from multiple members of Pogchimp. Cassidin has scaled up to that point. He's level 18 now. He can take these 1v1 fights by himself, and he can take them all day long with any member you would like to throw at him. We are now seeing Team Stopwatch being forced into these 5v5 engagements.
Oh, splash engage by Malakbot. He's caught up POG number 1 fan, and he has actually destroyed a lovely pick by Malakbot. The Predator actually coming in. He gets pushed away by Zablani. Bomb onto very early Zhonya's. He is going to have to flash away. Those Incredibles being taken very low. And Daily Lapper is now wreaking havoc on this backline. He's taken away both barriers by himself. He's looking for a third. Here comes this Master just ripping through this team fight. And the backup from Pogchimp is more than enough. He is going to finally have the Zhonya's to stay alive. And he is going to take a third for himself. This is going to be a push down the mid lane. Daily Lapper has just put the whole game on his back now, and they are going to push through to try and break the base.
These are long death times we're seeing from the side of Team Stopwatch. 30 seconds on that Kaiser, and with 4 members left alive pushing here in the mid lane, the only saving grace that Team Stopwatch might have is that the Pogchimp do not have a traditional ADC to help knock down these towers. Their sieging potential isn't the fastest, and with super minions still spawning against them, they might just be able to cling on 10 seconds on.
Oh, not like that. He just gets exploded again. Daily Lapper has no fear whatsoever. He is pushing the team off Stopwatch back into their own base while the rest of his teammates destroy those towers. The Nexus gun is going to fall shortly after, and still 300 gold behind. Looks like Pogchimp, they have taken up this win over Stopwatch. They have brought it back, and they are going to find success with this new roster.
And if you want to take a game late and rely on one member to carry you through, what better person than a Cassidin? Daily Lapper has to be the MVP of that match. The amount of work he put in there, getting into that backline, farming up and scaling up until he was able to just demolish all of Team Stopwatch's members. 43,000 damage across the entirety of that game, being an absolute nightmare to try and deal with. And we will see Team Pogchimp claw out a victory from the jaws of defeat after having lost their inhibitor, being pushed into their base. They fought back, shoved it down mid, and just wiped Team Stopwatch off the map in that final fight there, taking the victory. Very well earned for themselves.
Indeed, excellent resilience shown by Pogchimp there with this new rebuilt roster under Rido's leadership. We've seen some bad things from them, we've seen some good things from them, but they have got to be feeling better going into the second game of today, where they'll be going up against a higher ranked team in our standings, EU Saviors Anonymous. That will be coming up very shortly for you guys after a quick break. Do not go anywhere.